Hi, I'm Marcelo and be welcome to my channel. Today we'll explore how to automate SAP with Python and BotCity, which is a complete platform for developers to build, deploy, manage and scale code automations. If BotCity is new for you, I recommend pausing this video and watch my beginner's tutorial about it first, where you can learn how to create an account and set up BotCity on your machine, learn the basics about the platform and much more, so then you can follow along this tutorial. Giving a brief context, we will learn on this tutorial how to automate SAP with Python and BotCity. SAP is a global leader in ERP software, helping companies manage business operations and customer relations. And one of the functions in SAP is the creation of purchase orders, also known as POs, which are basically documents sent to vendors initiating the purchase of services or goods. And we'll learn from scratch all the steps to automate the PO creation process in SAP with Python. And once our bot is ready, we'll use BotCity Maestro to deploy, manage and schedule the bot effectively. First things first, in order to be able to automate SAP, we need to enable SAP GUI scripting. And for that, we have to open SAP Logon, open the connection, and now we need to go to the options. And now here on accessibility scripting, on scripting, make sure you enable scripting and save. So now let's click on OK. And from now we should be able to automate SAP. And now let's create a new Python project with BotCity framework. So for that, let's open from here the terminal. And now let's run the following command to create a project with BotCity framework. So here, because I've already executed in the past, it's asking if it's okay to delete and re-download the file. So I will say yes. So now it's asking the project type, so it will be a desktop one, so let's choose the option number 1. And now we have to define the bot ID, so let's say SAP_automation. Let's press enter. And now here we can see the project that was created with BotCity framework. So let's open the project on the code editor. On my case, I'll open on VS Code. So let's open the folder here. And now let's open the file where we develop our bot, which is the bot.py. So here you can see some code already included. So let's select here this line that basically opens the browser on the web page. We don't need it. So the first step for our SAP automation is to start SAP Logon, so then we can open a connection and log in on SAP. And so to start SAP Logon, to start an application, we can use bot.execute. So bot is an instance of the desktop bot class, which provides functions to work on a desktop, and execute is a function that allows us to execute a file. So now we open parentheses and we have to write a file path. And so here we'll provide a file path to the SAP Logon executable. So let's get it. Let's here open the file location. And here we can see the SAP Logon executable. So let's here copy the path to the file. And now let's just create here a variable SAP Logon file path. And paste here the SAP Logon file path. And now just before the string beginning, let's use R to tell Python to treat the string exactly as it is written. So it's just a good practice. And now let's call here the variable and let's give it a try. So let's run our file, our bot. And let's see if SAP Logon it's started. And here we can see that was started SAP Logon. So now the next step is to open our connection so then we can log in on SAP. So it's time now to install a library, which is the Pywin32, which basically provides access to various Windows APIs within Python. So let's add the dependency here on the requirements.txt file, Pywin32. And now to install this dependency, let's run the command pip install -upgrade-r requirements.txt that basically will look to the dependencies listed on the requirements.txt file and install the ones that aren't installed on our environment. Now let's import the dependency on our bot with import win32con.client. And now, after starting SAP Logon, I will paste the following code that I'll explain. On this first line, we are retrieving an instance of the SAP GUI object. So first we start SAP Logon and the application starts, and then we retrieve the instance of the existing SAP GUI object and store it on this variable. So then we get the scripting engine. So basically the scripting engine allows us to control the SAP interface from our script. Right after, we start a new SAP connection, so a new connection to the SAP system. And here we have to provide first the connection name. So here on SAP Logon we have our connections. And basically we have to input here on the first parameter the name of our connection. So in my case it's SAP. So I have here SAP. And then here we are saying here true. So true is to indicate that the connection should be opened in a new session. And then here we are retrieving the connection that was opened on a new session and then maximizing the main SAP window. So let's give it a try to see if it works. So it should run, and basically in the end we should see the SAP login screen. So let's give it a try. So let's start our script. So we can see that we got here an exception. Basically the SAP Logon takes some time to start, so let's just add here a delay with bot.wait, and let's add, for example, 10 seconds. And let's run again. So SAP Logon takes some time to start, as we can see. So SAP Logon was started, and here we can see that we got a notification about the script is attempting to access SAP GUI, so SAP interface. So we can see that it's working for now, and we can disable this notification, and I will show how. So now let's press OK, and basically a script is opening a connection to system SAP, so it's just notifying us. And here we can see that was open the session, and basically here we can see the SAP login screen. So let's just disable these notifications. So here we go to options. On scripting, let's disable the notifications by unchecking these two options. Press OK. Let's close SAP and SAP Logon, and let's run again. So SAP Logon is starting, and now as we can see, it will be open the SAP login screen. So now we have to handle the login, so fill the client, user, password, and login code, so then we can log in on the SAP system. So now to fill the SAP login fields, let's use the following code. So you can copy what I have here, you just have to replace the value assigned on each field. So this first line, it's for the client, then the second one for the user, then third one for the password. So here you can see my super secret password. And then the last line is for the logon language. So here you can see that I'm using the English one. So let's give it a try and see if it works. So you just have to adapt here the value that you assign for each field to use your login. So now I'll just close here SAP, And let's see if the login fields are filled. And here we can see that it worked. So these ones are already by default, but here we can see our user and the script already ended the execution without any exception. So now to execute the login, let's send the enter key. So here let's use session.find by ID, and now let's target the SAP main window and the action that we want to perform. So let's add here dot send b key parentheses 0. So basically this will perform an enter, so to log in on SAP. So let's see if it works. So let's execute from the beginning. So I'll just close here SAP. Let's start our bot. So it's starting SAP Logon. Open the connection on a new session, and here we can see that login was done successfully. So now, after login on SAP, we will automate the creation of a purchase order. So we'll have here an input file that you can find a link on the description of this tutorial if you want to download it. So it's an Excel file with data that will be used to create the purchase order. So to create the purchase order on SAP, we basically have here to execute the following code, ME21N, and press enter. And here we are on the page where we can create a purchase order. So here first, we'll fill the vendor, which is on the file. And then for each line that we have here, we'll paste the data on this table. So material on material, PO quantity on PO quantity, and net price on net price. And so will be a line for each row that we have here. So we have here 2 lines, and then basically create the PO, and will be generated the PO code, and the idea is to extract the PO code and paste it here on the file. So to develop this part of the automation easily and in a short time, we can use the script recording feature of SAP that basically records our actions and then generates a script file that has code that we can reuse on our bot. So let's do it. So let's go back, and now let's open here the script recording. And here we can define where the script is saved. So in my case, it will be saved on the desktop. So to start the recording, we just have to press here on this button. And now we have to do the actions that the bot should do to create the purchase order. So first thing, after logging on SAP, it has here to insert the code ME21N and press the enter key to navigate. So now that we are here on the create purchase order page, we have to fill the vendor. So let's do it. And then for each row of our file, we have to insert here the material, the PO quantity, and the net price. And then let's do another row, PO quantity and net price. And then to create a PO, we have to save it. So we can do it by doing Control S. So let's do it on our keyboard, Control S. And then it will appear here the label that has the purchase order code. So let's click on it. So then on the code, on the script, we get the path to this element, and then later we can change the code to read the text from this element, and then from the text extract only the PO number. And that's basically it. So let's stop the recording. And now here we can see the script that was generated. So let's open it on Notepad. So here we can see the script code, and these first lines we can see something very similar to what we have on our bot, where we basically attach to the existing SAP instance to then open the connection and attach to the existing session to log in on SAP. So we can see from this line basically the actions that we have really done on SAP. So paste this code on this field to then execute the code to open the create purchase order page, and then the rest is basically the translation of our actions. So let's just copy this part of the script and paste on our bot. So let's fix here the indentation. So first here we are pasting the code on the field. So then we have to execute the enter key to navigate, to perform the navigation to the create purchase order page. So here we just have to adapt. We have to add parentheses between the 0. So that's the first step after the login on SAP. So let's test this part to see if it works well. So let's comment the login part. So let's comment it. And also we have to comment here some lines like this one where we open a new connection. So we don't want to open a new connection. We want to use the existing one to be more faster to test. And that's basically it. So now let's close here the script file, and I'll just close here the recorder, and let's go back here to the home page. So now let's run our bot. Okay, we got here an error because, okay, we have to fix this. We have to put the number inside parentheses so we don't get any exceptions. So now we should be fine. Let's run again. And as we can see, was executed the code, and we are now on the create purchase order page. So this part is working well. So after navigate to the create purchase order page, we have here the part that defines the vendor. So before that, we have to read our Excel file. So then we create a loop for each row and insert the vendor which is on the file, and then the data also on the SAP table that is on the Excel file. So to read Excel file, we'll use the pandas dependency. So here on the requirements, let's enter here pandas, and let's run a command to install the dependencies. So now let's import pandas on our bot. So now here, let's create a variable that will store the path to the Excel file. So let's get the path. So here we have the Excel file. I'll just copy the path and now paste it. And before the string, let's use the R, and then here the equals. So after navigate to create purchase order, let's read the file and store basically the date of the file on a variable. So let's use here pd.readExcel, and now we just have to pass the file path, which is on our Excel file path variable. And now let's just see the content of our variable. So I'll just have here a breakpoint after the print, and let's just run our bot on debug mode. So then we stop right after print the information, the value of our variable, which will be a data frame, which is basically a data table. So now on SAP, I'll just go back here, and now let's run our file in debug. So it stops on this breakpoint. So it's taking now some time because of the delay that we have here. And also the execute, we are starting the SAP Logon. We can comment this part for now also. So here we are on the create purchase order. So now let's take a look. Here you can see basically the data stored on our variable, so the data from the Excel file. So seems it's working fine. So now after getting the data from the file, we will create a loop for each row of our Excel file. So we'll use for index row in data frame dot iter rows. So to create a loop for each row of our variable. And now here we have to set the actions that we want to execute for each row. And now here we have to define the actions to perform for each row of our data frame, of our Excel file. So the first thing that we want to do, and only one time, is to set the banner. So let's add here the code to define the banner only on the first iteration. So we can do that by using the index. So the index, it's auto incremented. So the first time it's 0, on the second iteration it's 1, then 2, and so on. So here we can use if index equals 0, and then let's add here a semicolon. If it's equal to 0, so it means we are on the first iteration, so we want to fill the vendor. So to fill the vendor, we will use here this line. And so let's fill the banner that comes from the file, from the row. So here we can use row. And then we have to define the column name that stores the vendor. So the column name is vendor. And that's basically it. So on the first iteration, we will define the vendor. And then we want to fill the data on the row of this table. So on the material, PO quantity, and net price. So here we can see that we have a duplication because here we have basically the code for each line that we have filled. So because we are using a loop, we don't need this twice. So let's take this one. This one is for the material. As we can see here, we have filled the material. So let's use this one for the material. Then here we can see that we have basically here a duplication. So this one is for the same row field. So let's delete this line. Then here, so this one was for the PO quantity, so let's keep it. And this one was for the PO quantity on the second line. So you can see here, basically this is only the difference. This one is for the first line, and then for the second line it's 1, for the third line it's 2, and so on. So let's delete this one. And then here we can see the net price. So this is for the net price. So this for the first line and this for the second. So let's delete one of them because we have to make this dynamic, and we'll see that it's very simple to make it. So then we can delete this. This set focus and card position we can delete, we don't need. And then after handing the loop, we want to execute the control S. So this is for the control S. So to execute the save to create the purchase order. And this is the click on the status bar or where appears the message with the PO code. So now let's make sure this is inside of the loop. So let's add a tab. And now to make this dynamic, we have to replace here this static, this fixed number by something that changes per each iteration on the loop. So for that we can use the index. So it starts by 0, first line, and then on the second row the index it's 1, so we target the second row on the SAP table, and so on. So for that, so to use the index here on this string, let's just have here on the string beginning, before beginning the string, the F. To use F strings, so provides a quick way to interpolate and format strings. So now here we can replace the 0, open brackets, and call the index variable. And now we just have to do the same on the other one. So let's use F strings and now replace here by the index. So by this way will be dynamic. So first iteration will target the first row because the index is 0. Second time index is 1, so we'll target the second row. And so we target always the next row on the SAP table. So now here we just have to change the value that we set on the table fields. So here will be what is stored on row at the column material. Then second one, this one is for the PO quantity, so row. And so here we can see the column name, PO quantity. And then it's basically the same thing, we just have to replace the column name. So it's for net price. And that's basically it. So let's see if it works well. So we can leave also here this part active, so we'll see the purchase order created. So let's run our bot. So let's click here to restart the execution. So it will run from the beginning. So it has stopped here on the breakpoint, and here we can see the banner already. So I'll just remove this breakpoint by clicking on it. And now let's click here to run. And here we can see the data that was inserted, and here we can see that was created the PO, and here we can see the PO number, so it's working well. So now we want to extract the text from this label. So here we can see where we are targeting this label, doing a double click. So to get the text instead from this element, let's replace double click by text. And now let's save on a variable PO code. And let's see if we are getting the text from the element. So let's use a print. Let's save and run our bot without being on debug mode. So here we can see the data was created a PO, and here we can see here the text from the element. So here we can see the PO code. So now from this text we have to extract only the code. And how we will achieve that? We will achieve that by using regex, regular expressions. So to be able to use regex here on our bot, we have to import. So import RE. So this is for regex. And now, after extracting the text from the label that has the PO code, let's here equals. So now we will use the regex. So re.search. And first we have to define the pattern that will match the code. So it's pretty simple. We will use /d+. So this means that will match a number found on the string that has one digit or more digits. So that's the case. We have a number with multiple digits. So now let's add a comma, and we have to pass the string where we want to search for the number. So it's the PO code. And now let's add in n.group to get only the text that did match with our expression, so the PO number. And let's see if now we see here on the print statement only the PO number. So let's save and let's run our bot again. So purchase order was created. And now here we can see now only the PO number, so it's working properly. So after extracting the PO number, we want to write it on our data frame, so then we'll write the data frame on our Excel file. So for that, we can basically here call our data frame, and then we have to say on each column we want to write our PO number, so it's on the column purchase order code equals, and now the PO code. So on all rows we will write the PO code on the purchase order column. And now to write our updated data frame on our Excel file, let's call our data frame and then add dot to Excel, and then we have to pass here the Excel path, so we have it on the variable Excel file path, and then here index equals false, so this is to don't write the rows index on the Excel file. So that's it basically. So to be able to run this part of the code, we just have to make sure that we have openpyxl installed as a dependency. So you just have to add it on the requirements.txt, and then just run here the command to install the dependencies. And we don't have to import it, so now we can just save here our bot and let's run it to see if the data on the Excel file then appears in the hand with the PO code. So let's run. So the purchase order was created. Here we can see the PO number. So let's see if the execution ended. So here you can see that we got an exception, and probably it's though I have here the file open. So let's close it and let's run it again. So the purchase order was created and now we didn't get any exception. So let's open the file, and here we can see the file updated with the purchase order code, so it's working fine. So let's now run our script, our bot, from the beginning until the end. So let's close the Excel file. Before, I'll just delete here the purchase order code. It's not needed because it will be overwritten. Now let's close here SAP and SAP Logon. And now let's uncomment here these lines for SAP Login. And also here this one to open a new connection. And also these ones to start the SAP Logon. And that's basically it. Let's run now our bot. So first it will start SAP Logon, as we can see. Then it has to open the connection. Now do the login on SAP and navigate now to the purchase order creation. So fill the data from the file, create the purchase order, and so seems the execution ended. And that's it. So let's see now if we see this purchase order code on the file. And here we can see it. So our bot is working fine. So now let's deploy our bot on BotCity Maestro and execute from there. So I'll just close here the file, and before deploy the bot, here on our code, let's uncomment here these lines. So by this way, when the bot ends the execution without any exception, it will set the task, the execution, as successful on BotCity Maestro. So now let's save and let's log in into BotCity Maestro. So now we'll use the easy deploy to deploy our bot. So here we have just defined the automation name. So SAP automation. Now let's click on next. And now we have here to say the bot technology. So it's Python and repository, the default one. And now we have to upload our bot here, our project. So here, let's do a right click and choose Reveal in File Explorer. And now we have to put our project on a zip folder. So let's choose here compress to zip file. And that's it. So now we can just drag our project. So it was successfully added. So let's press next. Now we have to define where we want to run these automations. So let's choose our machine. So now let's press deploy. And that's basically it. So we have deployed our automation successfully. So now let's start a new task. So execution of our automation. So I'll just close SAP. So let's click on new task. And let's click on create. So it's on queue. So in order to the task run on our machine, we have to open BotCity runner. So to open it, let's go to where BotCity is installed. And now let's execute the wizard. And now from here, let's click on launch BotCity runner GUI. And here we can see the BotCity runner. So from the moment that we click on start, it will listen for new tasks that are waiting to be executed, tasks that are on the queue, and we'll execute them. So let's click on start and we should see our SAP automation bot be executed. So now here we can see that it's executed in the SAP automation, our SAP automation task. So we should see SAP starting soon. So SAP Logon is starting. So now we are opening a new connection, log in on SAP, navigate to purchase order creation, fill the data from the Excel file, create the purchase order. Here we can see it. And now if we take a look to our file, here we can see the file with the new purchase order code. So now let's learn how we can store our credentials securely on BotCity Maestro. So here on our SAP login, we have to input the password, and currently I'm saving it hard-coded on the code. So let's change that and store instead our password on a credential storage of BotCity Maestro and retrieve the credentials on our bot. So here on BotCity Maestro, let's open credentials page. And now let's create a credential storage and let's define the credential storage name, SAP, for example, repository default. And now let's add the secret. So it's a key value pair. So here can be also SAP, the value, so the password. Let's create. So here we have our credential added on BotCity Maestro. So now let's learn how we can retrieve this credential on our bot to remove the hard-coded password. So now let's go back to our code. And in the beginning, let's add the following lines. So credential. So here maestro.get credential. So get the credential from Maestro, which has the label SAP and the key SAP, that it's exactly what we have defined. So then we'll get the credential. And now here, where we set the password to log in, let's call the credential. And let's see if it works well. So let's deploy this new version to BotCity Maestro. So let's put again the project on the zip folder, the current version. So here, let's delete the previous one and let's compress to zip file. So to deploy a new version of an existing automation, let's open the bots page. So here we can see that the current version of our automation is 1.0. So to deploy a new one, let's click on deploy and make sure you put the right bot ID, SAP_automation, the new version 1.1, for example, Python default, and now let's put here the project again. Let's click on create. So now we have deployed a new version. So now let's make it as the one being used. So now here we can see the entry for the new version. So now here, let's click on release. And now if we start a new task of the SAP automation, it will run on the latest version. So now let's create a new task. So it will start. Let's just wait a bit. So it's starting SAP. Opening the connection, doing the login, and the login was done successfully. So that means that the bot retrieved the credentials from BotCity Maestro successfully, and so our automation ended its execution. So now we can go to BotCity Maestro, and here we can see that the task is finished. So now let's learn one more thing. Let's learn about schedules. So on BotCity Maestro, we have the option to create schedules that basically triggers our automations automatically. So if we go here to the schedules page, so as it says here, we can program our tasks to run whenever is more convenient for us. So let's click on create schedule. And first we have to select the automation that will be triggered by the schedule. Now we have to define the cron scheduling string, so basically the cron expression where we define when the automation should be executed, if every minute, every second, every hour, daily. So to help us to build the cron expression, let's click on this button that opens this web page that can help us to build the cron expression. So here you can see one that runs every second, so that's quite a lot. So let's here, for example, add 30. So this one basically would run every minute, so at second 30 of every minute. So let's use this cron expression. So basically our automation should be triggered every minute. So let's paste it here. And now scaling strategy. So this is just a description. So let's click here to read from cron expression. So here you can see. So let's click on schedule, and from now our automation should run every minute. So let's just wait a bit. And here we can see a new task started automatically. Here we can see scheduled task, so that means that was the schedule that we created that started this task automatically. So it's working fine. Here we can see the automation starting, so SAP Logon done, and purchase order will be created. So it's working fine. So let's just disable the schedule. So to disable the schedule, we go to schedules, edit, and to disable, and click on schedule. And so now the schedule is disabled, so it will not start the tasks. And that was it for this tutorial. If you want to stay updated on BotCity, I will leave here on the description of this tutorial the links to BotCity social media, so you can follow them and stay tuned about news, new releases, and so on. And also, if you liked this tutorial, please give a thumbs up, and also make sure you subscribe to the channel and enable notifications bell so you don't miss any tutorial released here on the channel. So I'll see you now on the next tutorial.